Hi. Hello. It's me again. Hi. So, here we are. This is the day before we start really taking things seriously. So, what I want you to start looking at and focusing on are the things that really made me stop and think. And it took me months to stumble across these golden nuggets. But my guess is you're pretty similar to me. And so the things that shock me in action, I'm hoping that they're going to shock you in action too, to keep you paying attention, right? And keep you turning up for yourself, not for me, right? This is for you, Project You. So before we kick off tomorrow and we get down and into the nitty gritty, we start on why tomorrow. And then we're going to what's holding us back the following day. And then after that, we'll start looking at your cravings. But before any of that happens, right, what I would like you to do is just take a little snapshot of how things are right now. So look back over the last 7 days and maybe do a little totting up. Think about how much of your money are you spending on this thing that you no longer want to do? How much of it are you handing over and then regretting it the next day? You know, if you calculated it based on a bottle of wine a day, and okay, maybe not every day, perhaps it's more some days, perhaps it's less. Maybe you have spells without it, but my guess is you drink a little bit more Christmas and at birthdays and holidays. So if we averaged it out at a bottle of wine, I suppose that would be around about my ideal client. That would be, I can support people who drink probably more, and I could support people who drink less. But my ideal client is hitting somewhere around that, right? Based on that, that works out over £200 a month. £200 of your coin, your hard-earned coin. And you might think, oh, come on, Claire, everything else is squeezing. What fun are we going to have? That's the one thing. Then that's brilliant. I'm pleased you're here because hopefully we're going to switch that mindset and you're going to start looking at this in a brand new way. And maybe you're already on this journey, so you have to look further back to when you were drinking. Look at an average week. How much were you spending? Because you might be well into this. You might be, banging out 3-4 weeks now. Perhaps you're starting to look and think, well, I'm eating a lot of sugar, so I'm not sure if it's actually, if things were that bad. The rose-tinted spectacles come back on and we start looking back and thinking that things weren't quite as bad as what we thought they were, which is where your journal comes in really handy. So if you haven't already got one, get a journal. And going back to that, one bottle of wine a day habit, I want you to see a representation of how much sugar is in one bottle of rosé wine. This is how much sugar is in one bottle of rosé wine. Imagine that's 120 grams of sugar. So if you've already decided that this is for you and the craving for the sugar comes out, don't be surprised if you're snacking on these, but that's exactly the same amount of sugar. In a bag of these is the same amount of sugar as in a bottle of rosé wine. So just to put it in perspective, could you eat a full bag of them? I don't suppose you'd feel great, but would it, and would one bottle of wine be enough? If it was me, once I got to one bottle of wine, I'd want another bottle of wine. And so it would continue, so it wouldn't stop. I think I could only maybe knock 2 or 3 of them sweets out. So get it in perspective when you start weighing this up and looking about what's important to you, right? And yes, you might initially find this uncomfortable. Don't be surprised if that's true. But we'll have to consider the long term. We'll have to consider the long-term picture if we're going to try and get any element of lasting change and lasting success. So if you're here, I'm pleased you're following along. Do those calculations. Work out how much coin are you spending on something you no longer want to do. look bigger than that initial figure as well. I want you to think about, what else does it cost you? Is it taxis? Is it takeaways? What other decisions are you making because of that initial decision? And then thinking about productivity. How productive are you? How much energy do you have? How guilty do you feel when you're not showing up as you really want to? Can you put a price on that? These are the things that I want you to start thinking about. And, when those cravings come, which they will, you've got something else to focus on instead of, whatever you've had up till now. So let's hope that sparks some inspiration. It's got you thinking. It's got you ready to dive into the next session. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye from me.